Greetings, Alpha 40 fans. Welcome to my July deck tech and discussion video where I recap the deck that I played the previous month, make some changes to it, and talk about some of the strategies going forward. This particular deck I ran Demonic Tutor due to a recent rule change that it had been about a year or two since they made any rule changes, but this was a big one. They added Demonic Tutor and Regrowth to the draw group, which meant you could only play one of these 6 cards in your deck. So I was going to systematically go through those cards and figure out which one I liked the best, starting with Demonic Tutor to search for the Time Twister. I thought if I could just be aggressive, get Twister in play, and put some black vices on the board, I could perhaps do some damage quickly to my opponent before they got land in play. In my testing, I tested against 2 of my local friends, and the first match I won 4 games to 3. We played 7 games really quick. It was just for fun. He was on a red-green Dragon Whelp War Mammoth deck that you've seen on the channel before that also ran lightning bolts and direct damage, so it was very aggressive. It was very burn-heavy, big creature deck, very fun to play against. This deck was a very even matchup and came away with 4 out of those 7 games. In the second matchup, I faced a really nasty land destruction, black, red, green deck that had copper tablets in it. My opponent was usually behind on life and dying to their own copper tablets, which was kind of funny. But he also ran Hypnotic Specters and 2 copies of Demonic Hordes, which lets them destroy my land. But if at any point they didn't pay 3 black, Demonic Hordes becomes tapped and I get to destroy one of their lands. So that matchup went 2. I won 2 games, they won 1, and we tied 1 because there was a draw due to the copper tablet. We were both at 1 life, and then copper tablet did a damage to both of us. So that's how we got to all 4 games. Then I shuffled this up and I played for the month of July, and I lost to my first matchup against a red-white artillery deck. I lost 0-2. They won the die roll. They beat me with Fireballs game 1. They beat me with Serra Angels game 2, even though I had a stasis on the board. Their Serra Angels did not tap, and they just kept getting through with Serra Angel. So that was a very bad matchup for stasis and this deck against red-white. My other opponents had to drop, so that pushed me into the playoffs. And in the playoffs, I played another red-white Orcish artillery deck, which was very popular, and I had the same result. I lost 0-2 to that red-white deck that had a lot of Orcish artillery, Uthin Trolls, and Benelish Heroes. This deck just did not have enough creature removal to get around the little creatures that they could cast and get under the vices pretty effectively. So I went back to the draw group. I'm going to take out Demonic Tutor and I'm going to put in Regrowth this month. So here are 18 cards that I'm going to swap out, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do with them when I put them in the deck. So we're going to start with taking out the Demonic Tutor just because that's the draw card that we're not going to use this month. So I'll set that aside. I'll put in the Regrowth. That'll let me regrow any card from my graveyard. Hopefully I will have cast Time Twister and that'll be in the graveyard. Then I can regrow that, and then that infinite cycle should be able to go every time I cast Regrowth and get the Twister back. I'm going to put in 2 copies of Psionic Blast, which can target my opponent's creatures. If they have no creatures, it can target my opponent. It does 4 damage for 2 blue, 2 colorless, and a blue. I'm going to take out these 2 Paralyze cards, which were really good against creatures early on. If my opponent cast a creature on turn 1 or turn 2, I could paralyze that creature and make them pay 4 to untap that creature at any time. I'm going to put in a Serra Angel and take out this Dark Ritual, since we're not going to play black this month. Serra Angel does not tap, it has Vigilance. This was printed in 1993 before Vigilance was even coined as a phrase. And I'll keep Stasis in because I think if I can tap everything down with Stasis, Serra Angel stays untapped and she can just get through in the air without having to tap. I'm also going to put in 2 copies of Swords to Plowshares. I had a deck built similar to this a few months ago, maybe last April, but we're going to try Swords to Plowshare one more time to take out my opponent's creatures if they're running creatures. I can also take out Serra Angel if I need to in a pinch and gain some life at the very late stage of the game. For the Lucky Charms, as they call them, I'm going to take out Throne of Bones since we don't have any black spells anymore. I'm going to put in this Ivory Cup, which I can gain life off of the Disenchant, Serra Angel, or Swords of Plowshares. I can also gain life off my opponent's white spells, if they're playing red-white again, I can gain life every time they cast Benalish Hero, or if they're on mono-white, which is a popular deck in the format, I can gain life anytime they cast Crusade. I'm going to take out Jade Statue and put in a clone. I played this a couple months ago to not very much success, but I'm going to try to clone the Sarah Angel. I really should have 2 copies of Sarah Angel in this deck, but I only have this 1 copy of Sarah. She's worth about $1,000. So at a discount, I can get the clone for a couple hundred and cast that to duplicate a Sarah Angel. Hopefully I can get Stasis on the board and lock everything down and then swing with Sarah's. I thought about Icy Manipulator, so I'm going to take out this Twiddle, which can tap or untap any land, creature, or artifact in play, and I'm going to put in 1 copy of Icy Manipulator instead, which is an artifact that I can use to tap artifacts and creatures down. I'm also going to try Volcanic Eruption, which is one of my favorite blue spells. It requires 3 blue mana to cast those, so it's kind of heavy on the casting cost side, but since we're running we're going to run more blue mana this month, I think it'll be possible. It's also really good against red decks because it destroys X mountains when you pay X colorless. So if they're running a red-white Orcish Artillery deck again and have 3 mountains in play, I can pay 3 blue and 3 colorless. I can destroy 3 of their mountains, but it also does that much damage to each player and each creature in play. So it would also hit my Sarah Angels or any smaller creatures that I might have, which I don't. So hopefully I don't use it for more than 3, but if I need to, I'm going to put in this copy of Circle of Protection Blue, and I can pay 1 colorless to prevent all damage to me from 1 blue source, which Volcanic Eruption is a blue source. So if I pay 1 colorless in addition to the casting cost for Volcanic Eruption, I will prevent all the damage from Volcanic Eruption to myself or possibly to the source of Sarah Angel if I need to save a Sarah. So I'm going to take out this Basalt Monolith, which I think was great. I liked it to get quick mana ramp, but since I took out the Twiddles, I can't untap it for a discount. So Basalt Monolith is a really good card. I may see it next month when I try a different draw spell. And so now to fix the mana base, I'm going to take out this Underground Sea since we're not playing black anymore. I'm going to put in a Tropical Island since we're playing blue and we need green for regrowth. I'm going to take out Scrublands again since we're not playing black. Put in a Savannah since we need green for regrowth. I'm going to take out a Bayou since we're not playing black. Or I guess I could keep that in for green, but I don't need the black. And if they're running Karma, they could do damage for all the swamps in play. So I'm going to put in a Plains instead so that I can cast Swords to Plowshares and Sarah easily. I'm also going to take out 2 copies of Basic Swamps since we're not playing black. I'm going to put in 2 more copies of Plains so I can play the white spells easier. And then I'm going to take out the last 2 copies of Swamp and put in 2 basic islands so that I can cast all these blue spells and hopefully hit Volcanic Eruption late in the game. And this will be the deck that I'm going to run in the month of August. So to quick recap, we've got 16 lands still, which is my favorite number. We've got the 9 islands for the 10 blue sources, plus the Tundra, and then we've got 4 basic plains for the 5 white spells, and then 2 more duals, the Savannah and the Tundra. Tropical Island, we do have the Tundra, but the Savannah and the Tropical Island are for green, so we can find the regrowth, which hopefully won't need until after we've twistered, so that might be a late game play in this month. Keeping the 3 black vices and the Soul Ring, adding the Circle of Protection Blue to prevent against the Psionic Blast and the Volcanic Eruption. If they're on blue, it'll prevent against their Mahamoti Djinn, but that seems unlikely. Keep the Chaos Orb in instead of the balance. The balance is tricky with the black vice because it sometimes gets cards out of their hand, so I want to keep cards in their hand. I want to clone my Sarah Angel after I've stasised. I want to Ivory Cup and gain life off of my white spells and off of their white spells. I want to disenchant their black vices and my stasis so that I get an untap and then I can cast a bunch of stuff on my turn. And then Swords of Plowshares to get rid of their creatures. Really great with Time Twister because when you Time Twister, those creatures do not get back in their deck. Sarah Angel, which does not tap, has synergy with Stasis. Psionic Blast, which can take out their creatures. Regrowth, which I'm going to use to regrow the Twister and hopefully get more Black Vices in play. Mana Short, Power Sink, and Power Sink are all to tap them out so that I can cast Stasis after I counterspelled something of theirs. Copy Artifact, I can copy the Black Vices most frequently, but I can also use it to copy Soul Ring if I need Mana Ramp. I can also use it to copy a Chaos Orb or an Icy Manipulator if I need to destroy something or just tap a few things down. And then lastly, Volcanic Eruption is probably going to be a win condition for me in this month. Especially if I have Circle of Protection Blue on the board, I'll be able to Volcanic Eruption for as much mana as I have, save 1 mana to prevent the damage to myself, and then just blast all their mountains, blast all their creatures, and blast them for that much damage. I'll let you know how that goes. Subscribe to the channel if you want to get more Alpha 40 updates in your feed every day. And then stay tuned for the end of August when I recap this deck and let you know if Regrowth did better than Demonic Tutor. You can always let me know in the comments what you think, if this deck will do better than the Demonic Tutor deck. I'd like to hear your comments, and I'll report back in a month and let you know how it did. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.